Hello and welcome to the Print Live. Today, the Narendra Modi government took a very bold move and decided to do away with Article 370 that gave a special status to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. At the same time, they've also decided to bifurcate the state into two union territories. That is, Ladakh as a union territory without an assembly and Jammu and Kashmir as a union territory with an assembly. Now, the decision taken by the Narendra Modi government today will have far-reaching ramifications as far as India and rest of the world is concerned. Remember that these ramifications are not limited to just the diplomatic field, but also to the overall security scenario also. So please do send in your questions, where I, Snesh Alex Philip, and my colleague Nanima Basu would try and answer as many questions that you have on this particular issue. So shoot in your questions through Twitter, through the Instagram feed, as well as through the YouTube app itself. Well, Nanima, the first question is coming in from Rahul, and he's asking, okay, well, basically what Rahul is asking is, what does it mean from the security point of view? Well, if you're asking whether the removal of the Article 370 and the division of the state, those are two different things separately. But if you talk about the division of the state as far as is concerned, remember that it will be the Jammu and Kashmir will become a union territory, but will have an assembly just like in the case of Delhi. Now this means that all important decisions, and especially with regard to the security decisions, would be taken by the union government, that is the Home Ministry, and every single security personnel in that particular state, just like in Delhi, including the Jammu and Kashmir police, would be reporting directly to the Home Ministry. So this does away with the earlier case in which the state government, and which was the NC and the PDP used to be in power along with the Congress, would no longer have any role to play as far as security issues are concerned. Now, another, I've been speaking to senior officers in the army, in the security establishment, and they say that nothing is going to change as far as the security architecture in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned with this today's move, but it does give a lot of impetus to the security forces to carry forward their operations. But in terms of, if you're asking whether there are going to be any changes at the army level or anything of that sort, that is not going to happen. I've got another question which is coming in from Vivek, and he is asking how will Pakistan react to it? Well, that's a question that I'll direct to Nanima, and she'll be able to answer you, Vivek.
Thank you, Snehesh. Well, as we've seen, Pakistan, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has already issued a statement condemning it, and they have also called it illegal. And in all probability, the Imran Khan government will take it to the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and ask for a resolution. And also they'll take it to the UN Security Council, where they have mentioned, they've asked for mediation long back. But yes, they'll ask for a UNSC resolution on this, because there are several Kashmir resolutions at the UNSC. However, that has been the only statement as of now, but it remains to be seen diplomatically what do they do in terms of implications, in terms of other decisions like the Kartarpur corridor or giving consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav.
Well, I have a question coming in from Shiva. He's asking, what about political ramifications in rest of the India? Well, this particular thing will go for vote in the parliament, and as you have seen, the NDA allies, except for the JDUs, has supported this move, and so has many opposition parties, including the BSP, BSP and other parties who have supported this move. So one will really have to wait and watch when the voting actually takes place to understand whether, how the parties vote on this particular issue as such. I have a question coming in from Devesh. He's asking why there will be an MP just like in other UTs. Why there will be an MP just like in other UTs? Well, there would be MPs who would be representing the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Remember that other UTs also do have MPs and MLAs. Also, plus remember that Jammu and Kashmir will also be a union territory with an assembly, just like in the case of Delhi. So in Delhi, you have MLAs as well as you have MPs. Well, another question that is coming in from Jaydeep. He's asking, how do you envisage the separatists to react and India's ability to counter it, considering the public support is tilted towards Pakistan? Naima.
Thanks. And there's also a question from Nirmal Joshi as to on Jammu and Kashmir whether this applies to POK. Well, first to answer Nirmal's question, no, this does not apply to Pakistan occupied Kashmir because that is still a disputed territory. And but then we need to remember that Pakistan has also put in a titular constitutional head in POK long time back. Also, in terms of how the separatists will react, well, they are right now for a long time under house arrest. I'm sure they will be also protesting, and they will be definitely taking this up in whichever way possible.
Well, I have a question coming in from Lilith Srinivas and is asking, will then all separatists be declared a terrorist organization? Oh, well, I don't see that happening as of now. But yes, there has been severe action that has been taken in Jammu and Kashmir as far as the whole, fight against terrorism is concerned. Remember that over the last 2.5, 3 years, there has been a sustained operation that has been going on in which number of, terrorist leaders have been neutralized, both locals as well as those, who had managed to infiltrate in from Pakistan occupied Kashmir. At the same time, there are various state, arms, including the NIA, the Enforcement Directorate, that has taken out. Has carried out raids against those people who are alleged to have been behind, the support to terrorism in terms of both financial as well as other facilities that were extended to them. So yes, there's a whole lot of things that are happening on the ground as far as the fight against terrorism is concerned. Well, I have a question which is coming in from Vishnu Mohan is asking, how many seats will be in new JNK with numbers in Jammu and Kashmir? Well, I think one will really have to wait and watch to understand how many seats would be there. Even that is something that I would also be keenly, and I'm sure Nanima, we both would be keenly looking forward to. Well, I have a question which is coming in from Debayan Roy and is asking, what will happen with AFSPA? Will it now be withdrawn? Will excess troops be removed? Well, the ban, AFSPA is, the whole issue of ASPA has nothing to do with Article 370 or for that matter, the bifurcation of the state. But yes, the AFSPA is something which was prevalent in Kashmir, and it will continue to be so because AFSP is the enabler as far as the army is concerned, because the army cannot function in civilian areas without the cover of the ASP, and this will continue in Kashmir also. So as long as the army needs to operate there, the AFSP is something that would be needed. Well, I have a question coming in from okay, this is coming in from Shiv, and he's asking, how will Pakistan see this development? Do you think Pakistan is going to take some drastic steps? Well, Naima, if you could answer Shiv.
Well, Shiv, now Pakistan can only take it, as I've mentioned, for an OIC resolution or a UNSC resolution. Having said that, this is also true that Pakistan now has support of US somewhat in terms of what it wants to do. When it comes to Kashmir, they have again cropped up the issue of mediation, even though India has rejected it time and again. It remains to be seen now what happens. This issue will definitely be discussed, I'm sure, when Prime Minister meets US President Donald Trump in the sidelines of the G7 summit that is going to take place later this month.
Well, there are a number of questions which is coming from Sinan, Manav Bhatia, and others who are asking, can this be challenged in the Supreme Court? The answer to that question is yes, it can be challenged to the Supreme Court. Any decision of the government, any decision for that matter, can be challenged in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court will actually look into the legality of this particular issue. Yes, this has been a very surprise move. Nobody was expecting it to happen so drastically. So yes, I'm sure in the coming days we would have this matter before the Supreme Court. Well, another question that has been asked is by Amritpal Sidhu Brar. He's asking, what impact will it have on the minorities living in JNK? Well, if you're asking about the minorities living in JNK, the security forces have been put on high alert. There are, a large number of extra troops that have been deployed in Kashmir. The whole point is to ensure that no violence take place. But if you're asking specifically about minorities, I don't, see any major impact or threat as far as the minorities are concerned. Yes, there could be cases of pelting against the security forces and all, but that has been taken into account. the JNK would also see in the coming days the delimitation process, which means that the entire electoral mapping would be changed, and you would see a new set of rules and practices in play in Jammu and Kashmir. Well, I have a question coming in from.
David Srivastava.
Yes, Lalit Srivastava, is delimitation of the constituency allowed by the centre since 370 is out? As I mentioned earlier, Lalit, that the delimitation is something that will happen in the coming days. Well, another question again from Vishnu Mohan. Thank you, Vishnu Mohan, for taking so much of interest in our live. He's asking, what about the current political parties, NC and PDP? Well, the leadership of the NC and PDP are currently in house custody. They would continue to play an important role. Remember that Jammu and Kashmir is a union territory with an assembly. So you will have a state government. Remember that in Delhi also, you have a state government. But as far as law and order issues and key appointments of bureaucrats, as far as the bureaucracy and the police is concerned, they would be reporting directly to the Home Ministry in New Delhi. And right now, the Home Ministry is headed by none other than Amit Shah. Well. Yes, there's a Divij who's asking, has this happened because of increasing closeness between USA and Pak?
Well, Divij, that's an interesting question. That's what everybody is asking, but frankly, that is not true. The issue that we have seen today, the abrogation of both the articles, was there in BJP's manifesto, what they call as Sankalp Patra. So this was definitely not what was expected out of the closeness between US and Pakistan. But yes, the closeness is a little bit of concern for the Indian government. But then again, India has made it clear that there will be no mediation. As far as military alliance between US and Pakistan is concerned, that is for them to settle, and that has the Afghanistan angle to it.
Well, as Nanima rightly said, this is part of the BJP manifesto as such. But the recent meeting between Trump and Imran Khan is also being seen as, by some analysts, as a catalyst for speeding up this whole process of, the whole process of abrogation of the Article 370, removal of 35A, and also the division, the bifurcation of the two states. Well, I have a question from Funny Indra. Again for Nanima, and Funny is asking, what possible options do Pakistan have in this situation? How can these possible options affect India?
Well, Pakistan basically has no option apart from taking it at the multilateral forum like the OIC or the UN Security Council. What possible options can affect India is, yes, probably we can see a spillover effect as far as consular access to Kulbhushan Jadhav is concerned, and also the Kartarpur corridor, which is expected to be operational from November. So it remains to be seen how that dialogue, all these two dialogues take place in the light of what has happened today.
I have a question coming in from Ruhi, and she's asking whether the large number of induction of the troops would will result in more operations in the state. Rui, as I mentioned earlier also, that remember over the last 3 years or so, there has been sustained operations that have been carried out by the security forces. This will not have any impact on the operations per se. And when I say on the operations per se, I mean at the intensity of the operation that is being carried out. These operations will continue. Yes, currently because of this decision, a lot of focus is on Jammu and Kashmir, the focus on law and order, maintenance of law and order, and hence there has been a large number of central armed police forces who have been deployed in the union territory. You remember I mentioned the word union territory and not the state of Jammu and Kashmir. But yes, the army is also on standby in case of any help that is needed. But army generally doesn't take part in law and order situations. What they do is carry out operations against terrorists. I have a question coming in from. Yes, and is it true that media has been asked to leave Jammu and Kashmir? Well, and the media has not been asked to leave Jammu and Kashmir. Many of my colleagues in the TV industry, in the TV media, as well as in the print, are currently in Jammu and Kashmir. They're reporting from the spot. But yes, if you're asking, reporting is difficult. Yes, reporting is difficult because remember that the phone lines are out, the internet is down. So yes, it's very difficult to get out the information from the state. But as far as removal of media is concerned, no, nothing of that sort. The media continues to be there. I have a question which is coming in, and I don't have the name, but the question is: will the withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan ahead of Trump's campaigning play a factor in how this plays out?
Well, as I said that yes, this will have an impact in overall India's bilateral relationship with Pakistan as long as other dialogue is concerned. But frankly, the Afghanistan factor does not play into this. That's a bilateral issue that US has to handle with Pakistan. Yes, US has a deadline that it has to follow by September. That's what the US Secretary of State has said, which he later withdrew. But then that is something US is now heavily invested upon. The impact of that on today's decision, there's basically no link to it.
Well, I have a question coming in from Shah. Is this a precursor to declare LOC as a de facto international border, henceforth as the accession of Kashmir is no longer valid? Well, that is something I think one will have to really wait and see. But yes, there's a significant amount of, thought process that has gone into this aspect, and many people say that, to settle this whole issue, I think LOC should be declared as the de facto border. Now, that is something that the government of the day will have to decide upon. It will have to, plus for that matter, for any decision to happen, both the Indian government as well as the Pakistani government would have to be on board. I have a question coming in from Praneeth, and he's asking what is the difference in terms of powers between current J&K assembly and as a assembly as a union territory. Well, if you're asking powers of the assembly and the union territory is concerned, as I explained earlier, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir will be just like Delhi. You will have an elected government, you will have a civilian government in place, but remember that key elements of the government, which is the bureaucracy, the security, will be reporting not to the state government, not to the government of the Union Territory, but to the center. The Home Ministry under Amit Shah would be in charge of all these decisions. I have a question which is coming in from Debayan, thank you Debayan for your second question, and he's asking what about China? Does this move show Modi flexing foreign policy muscle power again? Will it act as a deterrent for them in AP? I think AP, again, he means Arunachal Pradesh.
Arunachal Pradesh. Well, I believe this is not to be seen from the prism of India-China bilateral relationship. Having said that, this is also true that the Foreign Secretary is expected to visit China from 11 till 13. With China, we have separate issues, we have separate set of priorities. That needs to be handled first. But yes, China, being China, might try to, make certain overtures as far as Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, but that will definitely not be seen through what has happened today. China being a very intelligent state, knew, I'm sure they knew what is happening in Kashmir and what BJP government is going to do.
Well, I have a question coming in from Hassan Dar. He's asking, by revoking Article 370 and 35A, is in India violating UNSC Resolution 47 and the Shimla Agreement? We both will answer, but I think Nanima will take it first.
Well, not really. The UNSC resolution on 47 says very clearly that both parties have to approach UN to come to a sort of resolution, both India and Pakistan together. Not one party can go for it. And Shimla Agreement, no, I think you really need to read up Shimla Agreement. That says nothing about this.
Yes, and also if you're and also as far as the violating the resolution is concerned and the Shimla Agreement, it has been Pakistan which has been violating the resolution as well as the Shimla Agreement all this while. Well, I have a question from Vishal Yadav. He's asking, is this a permanent solution to Kashmir problem? Vishal, I hope it is. Well, I can't really say whether it is or not, but I think we both can only hope. Objective. That's the ultimate objective, is a permanent solution to the Kashmir issue, and we hope it is. I have a question coming in from Johnny, and he's asking, can the consultation with Constituent Assembly be interpreted as consultation with the state government. Well, yes, it can be. It would be interpreted that way. Also, remember that there would be a state government that would be in play in Jammu and Kashmir, because Jammu and Kashmir from today has become a union territory which will have its own assembly. Ladakh, on the other hand, would be a union territory which will not have any assembly. Well, Vishal Yadav is asking who will be the new governor of Kashmir and Ladakh. Well, Vishal, I think Kashmir and Ladakh will not have a governor any longer. Union territories generally have a lieutenant governor. And if you're asking who would be the lieutenant, I think there are many people in this country, potential lieutenant governors, who would love to get an answer to this. But sorry, none of, neither Nanima or I have an answer to this particular question. But thank you so much for logging in and sending us your questions. Do log in tomorrow also, where one of our colleagues would be taking on questions on the particular issue of the day, and will try and answer as many questions that you send. Thank you so much.